Welcome back to the Media Unrestricted podcast. I'm Chase.
And I'm Dylan.
And we don't have a lot of topics for you today, but we're glad to be talking movie and TV show news with you. And we want to thank you for all the support we had on that last Scream video. We hope you all enjoyed it. I know we gained, another subscriber, so we definitely appreciate your support on that video. And we just hope you enjoyed it and hope you also will continue to let us know your theories going into the film. I guess let's just get right into that with Scream first reactions. It was shown to people just a couple days ago, and all the reviews have came out very, very, very positive, which is great to see. Definitely as a fan of this franchise, just to see that it still has the love and support from the fans. People are just saying that, this is just as good as the first one and saying this is the best since the first one. This one coming from Kevin McCarthy, he said, "The fifth Scream is the closest I've ever felt to the brilliance, excitement, and horror of Wes Craven's 1996 classic." Simon Thompson, he said, "Scream freaking slays. It's a textbook example of how to revive and regenerate a franchise and to do it in a killer style." Eric Davis, he had also say that the new Scream is a blast and my favorite since the original. There's some sharp writing here, a nice brilliance of well-crafted scares, and amusing commentary on modern horror. It also pokes a lot of fun at itself too, or remain a bloody whodunit and a damn good time. I am a fan. Stephen Wintrain, the new Scream is the real deal. Such a well-written script that keeps you guessing and wades into treacherous waters of fandom in 2022. Scream fans are going to love it. Joe Mears, fuck me, wow. Have finally seen Scream 2022. Movie, definitely it delivers and then some. If this franchise means something to you, and it means so damn much to me, you will leave satisfied, moved, and wanting more. Oh yeah, it's scary and funny as hell. John Nigma, he says that Scream is a fittingly loud, bloody good time at the movies. It takes a knife to the heart of modern recall machine, elevated horror, and toxic online fandoms. Seriously, no major film franchise is safe. This is a Scream at its best since the first sequel, easily. So those are just some of the things I've seen. It's really great just to see all this positive talk from fans. I just love seeing it, and I know like some parts in the world overseas, they have gotten to see that, and I've seen some of the Scream fans in the group, and they said they have loved it so much and everything. So man, I'm just so excited to see this movie. It comes out tomorrow. It can't come any quicker because this is my most anticipated movie of this year. It just looks like it's going to deliver on every single level, and I just can't wait to see where they go from here, and hopefully it provides us more sequels because I can't get enough of Ghostface, and I just love hearing that this one is gory and brutal. I've heard that so many times, and I just love hearing that because I feel like some of the Scream movies, like some of their violence, definitely the third one for sure, the violence is toned down, and I feel like 4 definitely upped its gore, and I just so excited to see what they do with this one and with all the violence and the blood and everything. I just think it's going to be great. But Dylan, what do you think of all these reviews, man? Does this up your excitement at any level, or you still about that same? Where are you at, man, on this, hearing everything? Are you ready?
Yeah, man, I'm actually very excited. This has done so much for me in making my excitement even higher because with a lot of these like late series sequels, you never know how good they'll be. And the fact that some of these critics and like just people we've watched on YouTube for a while really like it, it really says something about it because there are a lot of people that I'm really huge fans of on YouTube that watched it and they really liked it as well. So yeah, it definitely did a lot for me in telling me how great of a movie this probably is. And I have high expectations for this movie. I'm checking some of my expectations at the door because it's just fan stuff. I'm mostly talking about hoping that Stu is in the movie. I don't know if he is. I don't know if he isn't. I've stayed away from spoilers for the most part. So I'm checking that expectation at least at the door because I'm not going to let it disappoint me if he's not in the movie. So yeah, these reviews have really done all they could to really hype me up even more, and I can't wait to see it. We're going to see it tonight, so be sure to look out for our out of the theater review.
Morbius has been delayed again. Yes, you heard that right, folks. Morbius has been delayed for the seventh time. Morbius is no stranger to delays, as it was originally set to release in theaters on July 31st, 2020. Morbius was delayed from March 2021 to October 2021 to January 21st, 2022 to January 28th, 2022, and now it's April 1st, 2022. So Morbius, I don't know what. I mean, I think the reason more or less is because of the virus and all the spreading, and they're just afraid it's going to prevent people to make it to the theater since some are closing again. But I still think this movie would be a big success. But I guess that maybe I'm seeing something different. Um, I just want to see this movie. Maybe it's to film a secret cameo that I've seen maybe people hitting around with. I doubt it, but I mean, I don't know. Dylan, what do you think of this delay, man? Does this upset you? Do you think it could have succeeded with everything going on? What's your full thoughts on everything about this?
My full thoughts about this is that I 100% think it could have succeeded with everything that's going on. You look at Spider Man No Way Home, like the Omicron variant, it was raging whenever that came out. And you see what it's at right now. It's at over $1.5 billion. And some people thinking at the end of its theatrical run, it could get closer to $2 billion, which I don't know if I see that. But regardless, I do think it could have survived in this climate. I don't know why they pushed it back because like if you look right now, a lot of or the America is fully open still. Sure, we have the Omicron raging here, but we're still widely open. It would make a lot of its money here, and like there are a lot of places overseas that still have their movie theaters open, and places are getting shown over there. Like we talked about with Scream, they had their showings overseas and like press screenings and stuff recently. Here, like it would have 100% survived here. I just don't get why they would push it back. So I just don't get it. I really don't.
Now, moving on to the TV show news part of our show, we have the Book of Boba Fett episode 1 review. I've only got to see the first episode. Dylan, you can review a couple of the other episodes if you'd like, but I thought the first episode was decent, not fantastic. I enjoy seeing the beginning part where you see him escape the Scarlet Pit. I thought that was really cool and definitely interesting just to see it happen out. I thought it was a way too short of an episode. Like I heard John Campea say that kind of you blink and it's already over. It's just kind of hard to believe. Um, um, but it's still just cool to see Boba Fett. Definitely since his first appearance in the last season of Mandalorian. It's still great to see him again. Um, I said I thought it was an okay episode. Wasn't fantastic. I definitely think the rest will go better. I will have episode 2 review for you next week. I can't wait to see how it goes on. But Dylan, what have you thought of Book of Boba Fett so far? I know Boba Fett is one of I think is your favorite Star Wars character. What have you thought so far? Are you impressed? Not fully there yet. Do you think it's better than The Mandalorian? What's your full thoughts on Book of Boba Fett, man?
I don't know what you're talking about, dude. Episode 1 was fucking fantastic. Like it was a solid 9 for me. Like specifically for the reasons you said. Like we saw him escaping the Sarlacc pit. We saw how it happened. It was exactly as Patton Oswalt in I think it was Community back in 2013 exactly predicted. Um we saw all of that. We saw him in the back to tank. We saw some flashbacks to him on Camino, I think, in this episode, and some flashbacks to the Clone Wars and all of that. This episode more so was just an introduction to his rule on Tatooine, and where in him in Jabba's old palace, where we saw the oh man, what was it? We saw Mos Espa, the town that's nearby, where Boba and Finnick went to, so he could explain to everybody that he's there. He plans to rule with respect. He wants to meet with the various people and get their favor, so they so he can offer his protection to them. I think this episode also introduced Jabba's old Gamorrean guards, and Boba decided to make them his own guards and spare their life, which was really cool too, seeing Gamorrean guards again. I know we saw them in Mando, but we see them more in depth here, and they might even be the same Gamorrean guards that were in episode 6. So you never know. That's still really cool to think about. You also get towards the end, you get Boba, or you get a lot of backstory on him meeting with the Sand people and him with that little kid, Tusken Raider and all them. He fights the big monster, and then the little kid brings back the monster's head, and the leader of that tribe knows that Boba did it, so he gives him water. So that's when Boba gained the Tusken Raiders' trust. And just all the stuff with the Tusken Raiders too, like it really gives the Tusken Raiders a character. I don't feel like in the past of Star Wars they've really given the Tusken Raiders a character. They've always just been like brutal tribal people that just kill without, anything, and they've given them actual like something to go off of in the show. And I really like that about it because it gives more lore to the Star Wars universe for people who aren't privy to comic books or any of that like Legends extended universe stuff. You know what I mean? The stuff that's not canon anymore, but some people wish was. And then like at the end, we saw Boba and Fennec get cornered by a group of assassins, and obviously they fought him off, and they took one as a hostage that we see at the beginning of episode 2. And for all those reasons right there, that's why I think episode 1 was a solid 9. It was a good introduction. It gave us backstory. It told us how he got out of the Sarlacc pit. It told us everything we needed to know about Boba and where the show is heading moving forward. Now, going on to episode 2. Episode 2 is where some stuff, like a little bit more went down. We get more backstory with Boba and the Tusken Raiders. He goes on some sort of spiritual journey where he goes to a tree and then brings back a branch. That's where he has more backstory and stuff like that shown from him from his time as a bounty hunter and from as a child. And that branch he brings back from the tree is what he fashions into his own, like, how how the Tusken Raiders have their own sort of like battle stick. That's what they fashion it into for him. Since he's officially now part of the tribe, they fashion him one of those out of that stick. And this is also the episode where we get the train sequence. And he steals. There's another part in the show where, or I think it was in episode 1, I forgot to mention, where him and the little kid saw a farm in the distance, and they saw a biker gang drawing like the backwards L and the other L to make that logo for the biker gang. And they're brought back in this episode where Boba goes to like a bar thing that was actually a deleted scene, I think, in episode 4 with that man and female couple. They were actual people from Luke's childhood, I believe, or teenage, whatever. Because that woman that was in there, I believe Luke wanted to marry. But anyways, Boba goes into that bar and completely wrecks the biker gang and steals their bikes and brings it back to the Tusken Raider tribe. And he teaches them how to ride the bikes. And when the train comes for the second time, because the first time it came, it killed quite a few Tuskens, and the second time it came back, they planned an attack on the train, and they all rode their bikes to the train and took over the train and made it crash. And Boba let all the things that were on it. I keep forgetting what the race's name is called, but he lets them go, but they have to walk in a single file line back to where they came from and Boba's doing that as like a grace to them to let them survive. And this also is a reference to the movie Solo, because he references the spices and the spice planet that's in Solo. Again, I'm forgetting what it's called, but there's a Solo reference in this movie too, or in the show too. After all of that happens, in episode 2, Boba goes back to the Tusken tribe. And what else happens? I'm trying to remember. Oh man, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember. The episode ends with Boba and the rest of them doing like a sort of like ceremonial sort of dance around the fire, and that's pretty much where that episode ends. Episode 2 was really good as well. I will drop it slightly down to an 8, but it was still a very good episode and really goes more into the backstory of him and the Tusken Raiders. Episode 3 that came out yesterday, I do think was the weakest of the show so far. What it basically was Boba knew about he knew that. Ooh, a big thing that happens in episode 2 that I completely left out. Or was it episode 1? So 1? And end of episode 1, I think. Boba ran into two more Hutts from Hutta. They're twins, a male and a female Hutt, and they said they were wanted to lay claim to Jabba's old palace and Mos Espa. And Boba was like, I took over the place, it's mine now. And then they were basically like, yeah, we'll see. And they had a big black Wookiee with them named Black Chrysanthemum. And we don't get Black Chrysanthemum in episode 2, but we get him in episode 3. And episode 1, I forgot to mention, Boba does go and meet the mayor of Mos Espa. And the mayor doesn't give him like the tribute Boba wants. And we get a payoff to that in episode 3. Because in episode 3, we find out that the assassins that were hired from the assassins that attacked them at the end of episode 1 were hired from the mayor. And so Boba and Fennec go to the mayor's office to try to confront the mayor and ask him about it and see what he would have to say about that. And whenever they got there, the secretary for the mayor said, I might be able to squeeze you in. Let me go ask what the mayor thinks. And then whenever they go in there, the secretary is gone. He took off on like a speeder car, and Boba and Fennec chase after him. Oh man, I'm forgetting so much. Earlier on in episode 3, actually, Boba and Fennec actually find a ragtag group of like these teenagers in an alleyway who have like shiny colored, like basically the equivalent of Star Wars motorcycles. And he basically hires them to be like part of a personal bodyguard troop and stuff like that. And they live in Jabba's palace with him. And so during that chase scene with the secretary, all of them chase that secretary, and they eventually chase him down and crash him. And I think that might have been, let's see, what happened there. I'm trying to think. They talked to that secretary about something. I just cannot, for the life of me, remember what that secretary said. But regardless of that, at some point in the episode, the Hutts find Boba again and tell them that they were just going to go back to Hutta and renounce their claim to Jabba's throne. And because of all of that, they wanted to give Boba a gift. And that gift was another Rancor for his Rancor pit. As you know, in back in episode 6, Luke killed Jabba's Rancor, so there wasn't a Rancor down there anymore. And the twin Hutts gave Boba a new Rancor for down there. And we get scenes of Boba petting that Rancor, and Danny Trejo has a cameo in this episode as the Rancor's sort of like handler. And some people might be wondering if that might be a trap of some sort, if maybe the Rancor isn't nice and that it's just playing along. You know, Danny Trejo's character might just be playing along and all that. And yeah, that's pretty much how that episode goes. It was, and there's a spot in the episode where Black Chrysanthemum actually pulls Boba out of his bacta tank while he's in it, and they have a small little fight that a lot of fans are saying is underwhelming and a little disappointing. I agree because it wasn't like the fight we were hoping for. We were hoping for a full on Boba Black Chrysanthemum fight, but after that fight, um, Boba let Black Chrysanthemum go, and Black Chrysanthemum was visibly confused at that. But regardless, that's all pretty much happened in episode 3. It was a little bit less good than the other 2 episodes, but it was still good to me. It was still a solid 7, 7.5. So far, I'm loving this show. I'm loving what they're doing with Boba Fett as a character in the show. I'm loving the backstory. I'm loving how they showed him getting out of the Sarlacc. I'm just loving everything the show's doing, and I can't wait to see where the show goes next with everything.
And moving on, Boys' third season will premiere in June. This is a show I sadly still have not got a chance to see, but it's a show that's high on my bucket list that I need to watch because I know how much Dylan praises it and says how good it is, and I've heard from people how good it is. Um, but The Boys will prepare its season 3 with the first 3 episodes worldwide on Prime Video on June 3rd, 2022, with the remaining 5 episodes airing every Friday through July 8th. And Jensen Ackles will make his debut as Soldier Boy, which is kind of a ripoff, I guess, or kind of a homage, or however you want to word it, of Captain America. I really want to see Jensen Ackles because, I mean, I'm a big fan of his, and I think he could kill anything he does, so I'm sure he'd be great in this. But I just need to see this show. I need to binge it sometime because I'm sure I would love it. But Dylan, with your experience on this show, are you excited for the third season? What do you think of Jensen Ackles? Do you think he's going to do a good job? Do you think I would love this show? And what's your full thoughts on The Boys, man? I just got to know.
Well, I'm not going to go into my thought, like all of my thoughts on the show, because I think I've talked about it in the past, how much of a good show it is, and you've heard me talk about how good of a show it is. But I can't wait for June 3rd. I was really hoping it was going to be earlier than that, because I still remember the first time I finished the season 2 finale, and then I immediately went on Google to check to see if season 3 was even confirmed yet. And then I remember a few months after that still checking for the boys stuff and seeing that Jack Quaid posted something on Instagram saying that he was flying to, I think, like Toronto or something to start filming the boys, and that was back in 2020, I think, right? October of 2020, I think. So yeah, like they've been filming this for over a year and a half now, and I'm just ready for it to release because I just there's an episode in this season that I'm wondering how they're going to do, especially because they filmed this like during peak COVID, and that's the Hero Gasm episode, which for those of you who don't know, in the comic books of the boys, Hero Gasm is a time of the year that happens every year where all the superheroes get together and have a huge superhero orgy. So I'm trying to figure out how the fuck that's going to work in not only live action, but also while they were filming this during peak COVID, because I know a lot of things that were filming didn't really want a whole lot of people getting together, mainly for that reason. So I don't know how they did that, if it would even work, or just like what they would do with that. It just seems weird to me, but I can't wait for June 3rd, and I can't wait for The Boys season 3.
And Peacemaker has made some reviews, came out with the show just coming out actually in just a couple days. I think, or is it tomorrow? I believe. I know it's very, very soon, and I'm so excited because Peacemaker, as everyone knows, is my favorite character from the Suicide Squad, and I think this show is going to deliver on everything. So here's what some of the people thought when they sought to see, I think, the first 3 episodes. This is from Matt Webb from TV Line. He said, if you can stomach the title character's lunkhead views and temporarily forgive it, not forget his actions in the Suicide Squad, it is a lot of James Gunn fun. This is from Brian Lowry from CNN. He said, Peacemaker doesn't exactly miss, at least for those predisposed to buy into it. But even allowing for that, its gun shotgun approach to comedy, nor does it completely find its target. From Carly Lane from Collider, but what makes Peacemaker such an interesting and compelling character is his up-resistant awfulness. and the series choosing to backpedal on what could be considered his defining traits only makes for any aggressively fine follow-up. From Fred Topley from the United Press International. If the Suicide Squad wasn't for you, neither will Peacemaker be. But fans of the movie shouldn't object to the series' continuation. Mr. Alan Stephenwell from Rolling Stone had to say, even in a wildly overstated market for tales of hyper-muscular men and women punching their way to justice, Peacemaker stands out. You'll want to taste it, even the parts that are in incredibly bad taste. And Peacemaker at last check was sitting at a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. That could have checked by now because that was from this weekend. The first 3 episodes will premiere January 13th on HBO Max. So expect the reviews of those the next couple weekends. So, I mean, those reviews are not, I guess, the greatest. So, I don't know. I think we're just going to have to wait and see. I really think the show is going to be really good, but I think some of it is a lot of people didn't like the Suicide Squad, so I think people kind of are rethinking it to that maybe. I don't know. I'm very, very excited to see how the show turns out because I really think from the trailers and the previews, I think it just looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So I guess we'll see how it turns out. Dylan, what do you think of those reviews? Have you seen any more different reviews? What do you think of all of that? And is it deterring you to maybe thinking the show might not be that good? Where are you at on that, man?
To get started off, I want to apologize to our viewers who are watching us instead of just listening. Um, I wasn't able to find this particular set of reviews all on one place. Like, I'm not trying to say anything about you, Chase, but you didn't let me know particularly like what website or whatever you got this from, but that's fine. I just couldn't find the particular review roundup for this. So if you're just looking at the screen where it says Peacemaker review roundup, what critics are saying about the first DCEU series, that's what I have on the screen because I couldn't find the particular review roundup for this because it doing that just makes it a lot easier on me. But regardless, it negative reviews on stuff don't really change my view if I haven't seen them yet. I always go into stuff with a clear head unless it was Snake Eyes. Like everybody was saying that was terrible. Nobody was saying that was good. So you kind of go into that thinking that it's going to be terrible, and it was. But nothing's changed my mind on this. Like I said about Suicide Squad, I know it really wasn't for me. I know I gave it like a 6.5, I think, because to me pacing is everything, and pacing in Suicide Squad was awful. But it didn't change anything for me. Peacemaker was one of my favorite parts about Suicide Squad, and just the fact that he's getting his own show is nuts to me, and I can't wait to see it. Um, yeah, I just can't wait to see it. It comes on, or it's actually out today. So with our next episode, we should have a review of the first. I think it's what is it? The first 3 episodes. Yeah, so we'll have the first 3 episodes, I think, to review for you in the next episode of our podcast. So stay tuned for that.
And I forgot to mention one thing in our movie section. The Batman has been now rated PG-13. There was a lot of talk going around that this movie could have been rated R, which I wouldn't have bothered me in any means. But it has now came out that it will be PG-13, and I really think they are going to push the limit as much as they can with this PG-13 rating because you can definitely do it nowadays. So PG-13, I'm still fine with it. I'm very, very looking forward to this movie. Definitely with that last year. I think it blew it away. Dylan, what do you think of the PG-13 rating, man?
PG-13 is fine for Batman. I don't know why people are surprised. Like the article I have pulled up says the Batman is rated PG-13 and some fans are surprised. Others not at all. And I'm one of those that's not at all surprised. You don't need a Batman movie to be rated R for it to be good. You don't need any superhero movie to be rated R to be good unless it's Deadpool. Deadpool is the only one who needs to be rated R to be good because you got to let him have his full like cursing, bloody, gory freedom. But everybody else, you don't need it, especially the Batman. Like, sure, there are some comics that are like bloody, like not necessarily ones that are like really gory or anything. Like there isn't even that much cursing in Batman comics. So like Batman is perfectly fine with being rated PG-13. Like look at The Dark Knight. That's considered possibly the greatest comic book movie of all time, and yet it's PG-13. So like PG-13 to me seems fine. Everybody's hyped about the movie anyway because the trailers are amazing, and it's really showing off what Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson can do, being the director and Batman respectively. So like PG-13 is fine. I don't know why people are shocked. Like it's perfectly fine. We don't need a rated R Batman. PG-13 is perfectly fine.
Thank you for listening to our video. We definitely appreciate all the support we've been getting, and with the comments on everything, we definitely appreciate your support and just liking and following and subscribing with us. We definitely appreciate us on our journey. Please stay tuned for our Out of the Theater thoughts on Scream. It will be non-spoilers, so you can definitely expect no spoilers from this channel. Until probably the weekend, we will definitely do a spoiler. I can't tell if we'll do just a spoiler video for that, so if you want to watch that, and then could do a spoiler talk on the episode. I don't know yet, so stay tuned for that. It's definitely something you're going to want to catch. But until then, we will talk to you then.